Welcome to the Wealth Blueprint. Today we have a very special guest joining us to discuss something that, honestly, contradicts almost every single piece of conventional financial wisdom you have ever heard.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a topic that usually upsets people at first.
Oh, totally. Because I want you, the listener, to take a moment right now and just imagine that you were doing everything right according to the traditional American dream.
Right, the whole checklist.
Exactly. You studied hard, you got a good job, and every single month, without fail, you diligently save 20% of your paycheck in a standard U.S. savings account.
You feel responsible.
Yeah, you feel responsible. You feel like you are building this, this fortress for your future. But here's the terrifying reality check. That exact responsible behavior is mathematically designed to make you poor.
It is a really harsh truth to confront. But yes, if your money is just sitting in a traditional savings account, you aren't actually building wealth.
Right.
You are quite literally actively being robbed by the very mechanics of the system itself.
And that is the core mission of our deep dive today. We're going to expose why saving your way to wealth is, well, it's virtually a mathematical impossibility in the modern economy.
It really is.
To do this, we're pulling from a massive stack of sources today, ranging from historical Federal Reserve data and macroeconomic white papers detailing fiat systems, all the way to modern wealth-building manifestos from top institutional investors.
Yeah, there's a lot of data to unpack.
Because we are taught from a very young age to value saving.
Right.
To basically revere the bank account. But looking at the sources, the foundation of this belief relies on a fundamental misunderstanding of what money actually is.
It relies on the absolute biggest financial lie taught in the American school system. I mean, from the time we are children, we're taught to think of a US dollar as a fixed unit of measurement.
Like a ruler.
Exactly. We understand that an inch is always an inch, a mile is always a mile.
Yeah.
If you measure a piece of wood today, it'll be the exact same length 10 years from now.
Right. The physical world doesn't just change its measurements.
No, it doesn't. And naturally, we assume a dollar must operate the exact same way.
Yeah, we treat it as a constant baseline, to measure our own success.
Yeah, but what's fascinating here is that while we hold on to this mental model of the dollar as a fixed anchor, its actual purchasing power is shrinking every single minute.
Wow, every minute.
Yeah, the dollar is not a static ruler. It is a ruler that is constantly, systemically getting shorter. We all know inflation exists on a surface level, sure.
Right, like prices go up a bit.
But we dramatically underestimate the systemic mechanics behind it.
Okay, let's unpack this. I can log into my banking app, see exactly $10,000, and feel secure because the number hasn't changed. Why am I wrong?
Because that number is lying to you.
Okay, I know inflation is a thing, but the pixels on my screen tell me my baseline safety net is perfectly intact. We need a visual reality for this.
Let's do it.
When someone listening right now thinks about the cash sitting in their checking account, how should they actually be visualizing it?
I want you to think of your cash as a solid block of ice.
Okay, a block of ice.
Now imagine you take that block of ice and you just leave it sitting right on your kitchen counter. What happens?
Well, it doesn't stay a solid block for long.
Right. It immediately begins to slowly melt. Over time, it turns to a puddle of water, and eventually it just evaporates right into the air.
Oh, wow. So the money is just evaporating.
Exactly. That melting process is inflation. Your bank account is just the kitchen counter.
It's just a surface.
Yes. It offers absolutely no protection from the ambient temperature of the economy. The number on your screen is just a masterclass in psychological illusion.
It tricks your brain into feeling safe because the digits remain static, right? While the real world value is just being quietly extracted.
Precisely. Let's look at a concrete example from our macroeconomic sources to see how this plays out physically. So think back maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
You could go out and buy a highly reliable used car for exactly $5,000.
Right, a solid commuter car.
Today, to get that exact same car, same quality, same mileage, same baseline utility, it costs $12,000.
And the car hasn't gotten fundamentally better. The steel didn't magically upgrade itself.
No, not at all.
The engine didn't become vastly more efficient. It is the exact same asset.
The car didn't change at all. And your $5,000 in the bank didn't shrink in digits either.
It still says 5000.
Right. But the materials required to build that car, the cost of the labor to transport it, the energy required to run the dealership, all of those supply chain costs require more nominal dollars today than they did a decade ago.
So the money just became weaker.
Your $5,000 lost more than half its physical power. You traded hours of your finite life, your labor, your energy for that money. You stored your life energy in that account, and the system watered it down while you were sleeping.
Oh.
That is the silent theft of inflation.
It's essentially retroactive taxation on your time. You worked a 40-hour week, but 10 years later, the economy dictates you are only going to be compensated for like 20 of those hours.
Exactly.
But wait, if the currency is being actively diluted at the foundational level, why does the system operate this way? It feels like we're just being punished for being financially conservative.
Well, you are being punished, and it wasn't always the case. To truly understand the mechanics of this dilution, you have to look back at a very specific turning point in history, the year 1971.
Okay, what happened in 1971?
Before 1971, the global financial system operated under the Bretton Woods Agreement, which essentially meant the US dollar was backed by physical gold.
So they couldn't just make it up.
Right. The government couldn't just create money out of thin air to fund their deficits. To print more paper money, they basically needed to hold physical gold in a vault at a fixed rate of $35 an ounce.
So there was an actual physical constraint on the system.
Yes, a hard constraint. But by the late 1960s, the United States was running massive deficits to fund the Vietnam War and, various domestic social programs.
The spending was out of control.
Exactly. They were printing more dollars than they had gold to back up. Foreign nations, particularly France, realized this and started demanding actual fiscal gold in exchange for their paper dollar.
Oh, calling their bluff.
Exactly. And the U.S. vaults were rapidly draining. So in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. He completely severed the tie between the paper currency and physical reality.
Wow. It feels like we're playing a high-stakes game where someone else controls the bank and they suddenly decided they don't need collateral anymore. They can just print infinite money to put on the board.
Yes, but in this board game, the banker isn't just adding money. They are actively changing the rules of valuation while you are still playing your turn.
Right.
The dollar became a fiat currency, and fiat essentially means by decree.
So there's no gold, no silver, nothing.
There is absolutely no physical commodity backing the dollars in your wallet today. They have value purely because the government says they do, and because you need them to pay your taxes.
Which means there is mathematically no limit to how many can exist.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to realize what removing that physical constraint actually does.
What does it do?
Whenever there is a major economic crisis, a pandemic, or when government debt reaches staggering levels, the central bank simply fires up the printing press, digitally speaking, and introduces trillions of new dollars into the economy.
Just typing zeros on a screen.
Think of the overall economy as a giant drink, and the dollars are the liquid.
Okay, I like that.
When the central bank prints trillions, it's like watering down that drink. The volume of the liquid expands massively, but the potency, the flavor is completely ruined.
So every time new currency is injected into the system to solve a macroeconomic problem, the purchasing power is systemically transferred away from anyone holding cash. If the game is fundamentally designed to water down the drink, that means anyone holding capital has to respond. So how do different classes of people treat this reality?
Well, it exposes a massive, almost invisible divide in financial literacy. The middle class, acting on outdated financial advice from a pre-1971 world, hoards cash.
Right. The whole save 20% in the bank thing.
Exactly. They proudly stack their blocks of melting ice on the kitchen counter. The wealthy, however, deeply understand the mechanics of fiat currency.
They know the game has changed.
They know the money is melting, so they refuse to hold it. Instead, they accumulate assets.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the wealth-building manifestos in our research stack point out a paradox that is simultaneously terrifying and incredibly empowering.
Oh, absolutely.
The wealthy don't just use their own cash to buy assets, they actually use debt.
Yes.
They use the very thing the middle class is absolutely terrified of as a weapon to acquire wealth.
This is a foundational wealth strategy in a fiat system. The wealthy go out and secure fixed, low-interest debt, say a massive mortgage with a fixed rate, and they use that borrowed money to buy cash-flowing assets.
Like commercial real estate.
Exactly.
But hold on, using massive debt as a weapon sounds great on paper, but what happens during a 2008-style housing crash?
That's the fear, right?
Yeah, if someone leverages themselves to the hilt and the asset value drops, doesn't that wealth hack suddenly become a fast track to bankruptcy? How do the wealthy hedge against that level of risk?
That is a crucial distinction to make. The wealthy don't use speculative variable rate debt to buy non-producing assets. 2008 was fueled by adjustable rate mortgages given to people who couldn't afford the underlying payments, mostly hoping to flip houses for a quick profit.
Pure speculation.
Exactly. The strategy we are talking about utilizes long-term fixed-rate debt to acquire assets that produce positive cash flow immediately, like an apartment complex with steady renters.
Okay, so the asset pays for its own debt. But how does inflation actually benefit them in that scenario?
Let's break down the math, because this is the true aha moment. Imagine you borrow $400,000 at a 4% fixed interest rate for 30 years to buy a $500,000 property.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, inflation spikes to 7%. The central bank is watering down the drink.
Meaning the purchasing power of the dollar is dropping rapidly.
Exactly. The bank that loaned you the money is receiving dollars back from you that are worth 7% less every single year in real purchasing power.
Oh, wow.
But they are only charging you 4% interest. You are literally making a 3% spread simply by holding the debt, paid for by the dilution of the currency.
Because the debt is fixed in nominal dollars, but the value of those dollars is melting.
Yes. Meanwhile, the physical asset you bought, the real estate, is adjusting upward with inflation because it costs more labor and materials to build a similar building today. Not only that, but the rent you charge your tenants is going up because the cost of living is rising.
So the debt is melting away in real terms, while the asset's value and the cash flow it generates are actively expanding.
Precisely.
The very same inflation that destroys the saver heavily rewards the leveraged investor.
In a fiat system where the currency is mathematically guaranteed to lose value over a long enough timeline, holding currency is the ultimate risk. Leveraging fixed debt to hold scarce assets is the mathematical defense.
Wait, if cash is guaranteed to lose purchasing power, and leverage is a game most everyday people aren't equipped to play without massive risk or institutional backing.
Sure, it can be intimidating.
What is the actual defense mechanism for someone just trying to protect their paycheck? If the bank is the kitchen counter, where are we supposed to put the ice before it evaporates?
You have to get it off the counter and put it in the freezer.
The freezer.
And in the financial world, the freezer is a scarce asset.
Okay, I can hear our listeners screaming at their phones right now. It's really easy to say, buy prime real estate or buy an apartment complex. But if you're scraping by on a median salary, you don't have a massive down payment for commercial property.
Of course not.
How does the everyday person actually access this freezer?
Well, the good news is you don't need millions of dollars to access scarce assets anymore. The financial plumbing has evolved. A scarce asset simply has to meet two criteria.
Which are?
1, the government cannot print it out of thin air. And 2, it has a historical track record of holding its value against fiat money.
Okay.
If you cannot afford physical real estate yourself, you buy into REITs, real estate investment trusts.
Explain how that works for the average earner.
A REIT allows a retail investor to buy, say, a $50 slice of a commercial skyscraper or a massive portfolio of apartment buildings.
Oh, like crowdfunding almost.
Essentially, yes. It trades on the stock market, just like a normal share. You gain the inflation-shielding benefits of prime real estate, the appreciation, and the rental income without needing a $10 million down payment.
That makes a lot of sense.
But an even broader approach is owning a piece of profitable American businesses, primarily through a broad market index fund like the S&P 500.
Let's dive into the mechanics of that, because a lot of people view the stock market as just a casino where numbers go up and down based on headlines.
Right, that's a common misconception.
But the research frames it as a defensive mechanism. How do those corporate equities actually shield you from the money printer?
Look at the operational mechanics of the companies that make up the S&P 500. These are the logistical backbones of the economy. They produce the food you eat, the technology you use, the energy that powers your home.
The essentials?
Exactly. When the government prints trillions of dollars, the cost of raw materials inevitably goes up. The cost of labor goes up.
So their operating expenses skyrocket. How is that a defense for the investor?
Because massive, profitable corporations do not absorb those costs. They act as a pass-through entity.
Meaning they pass it to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
They simply raise the prices of their products and services. They adjust to the new reality of the watered-down dollar by demanding more of those dollars for the exact same product.
So if you are sitting on the sidelines holding cash, you get absolutely crushed at the grocery store or the gas pump.
But if you own fractional shares in an S&P 500 index fund, You literally own a piece of the machine that is raising the prices.
Oh, wow.
As they charge more nominal dollars, their revenue goes up in nominal terms, and the value of their stock adjusts upward to reflect that new fiat reality.
So your equity grows alongside the inflation.
Exactly. The company acts as a shield between your wealth and the central bank's printing press.
So the dollar is really just a measuring stick, and it is a severely broken one.
It's totally broken.
The actual goal of investing isn't to accumulate more dollars. It is to hold assets that inherently adjust their valuation against that broken measuring stick.
You are securing a stake in physical reality land, businesses, commodities, rather than holding on to paper promises dictated by monetary policy.
Okay, knowing this systemic reality is step one, but execution is step two. If someone is listening to this deep dive right now, looking at their savings account, what is the very first immediate step they need to take to stop the bleeding?
The very first step requires a complete psychological rewiring of how you interact with your paycheck. You have to stop viewing cash as a destination or a place to store long-term value.
Yeah.
You must begin treating cash merely as a temporary bridge between earning and investing.
So holding a 6-month emergency fund in cash makes sense for immediate safety, but beyond that, the cash is actively working against you.
Exactly. For daily liquidity and extreme emergencies, cash is a necessary tool. You need it. But the moment your paycheck hits your bank account, the clock starts ticking on your surplus capital.
The ice is melting.
The ice is melting immediately. Therefore, you must implement an automated system. Human willpower will fail you if you wait until the end of the month to invest whatever's left over.
Because there's usually nothing left over, we always find a way to spend it.
Precisely. You must set up a system with your brokerage that automatically funnels a set percentage of your income straight into the freezer before you pay your rent, before you buy groceries, before you go out to dinner.
Pay yourself first, basically.
But specifically in assets, the system automatically takes that fiat currency and buys fractional shares of an index fund, or puts it into a REIT. You must convert fiat into scarce assets the very second it is earned, effectively removing yourself from the decision-making process.
Because if you leave it on the counter, it will melt. The macroeconomic system absolutely demands it.
This raises an important question for everyone listening. Do you truly believe you can work hard enough and save diligently enough to outpace an entity that can create trillions of dollars with a single keystroke?
Man, when you put it like that, no.
Yeah.
No one can.
Because the brutal mathematical reality is you cannot outsave a printing press. The greatest financial risk you can possibly take in the modern post-1971 economy is holding zero assets.
Start small, stay fiercely consistent, and buy the freezer. That is the survival guide for the modern era. So what does this all mean? It means the kitchen counter is a trap. It means the comfort you feel looking at a static number in your savings account is a dangerous illusion designed to keep you complacent while your purchasing power is siphoned away.
It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth.
You have to move your money off the counter and into assets that the government cannot print. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
If the entire global economy now operates on a fiat system that is mechanically designed to melt our cash, and the only viable survival strategy for the individual is to aggressively buy scarce assets, what happens to a society when everyone finally realizes the cash in their pocket is a liability? If everyone is rushing to put their ice in the freezer, what happens when the freezer is completely full?
That is the trillion-dollar question.
I want to thank our guest for walking us through this incredible masterclass in modern macroeconomics. Your insights have fundamentally shifted how we look at every single dollar we earn.
My pleasure. Thanks for having the conversation.
And to you listening, thank you for joining us. We will catch you on the next deep dive into the Wealth Blueprint.